All right, Jeff Quintin, welcome.
Yeah, what's up, Brian? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I look at your topic here, the best time hacks that changed my brokerage forever. And it takes me back to, I think it was about a year ago. You didn't have a brokerage, but you had a team actually acquire a brokerage, which was an amazing thing for me to hear. I love that we have the same background, by the way. Your numbers are bigger than mine, probably, but so
exactly. Yeah. We got the screens always. They're always swiping across for sure in our conference room and out in our reception area.
Very cool. So tell us about. We get to talk about time hacks today, and I mean, time is really our most valuable asset as people, as business owners. Time is the most valuable asset we have. It's way more valuable than money. And I think that's the reason that health is such a valuable asset, because health gives us more time. So,
true.
I'm excited to hear about your time hacks today. I'm just going to let you kick us off, and we'll just dive in with questions from me and from all of our listeners.
I appreciate that. So thank you again it's an honor and pleasure to be here and to be surrounded by all that amazing talent you have and what you guys do. So it's been awesome. I just wrote down 12 things really for time hacks, or let's just call it time management habits, whatever it may be, things that really have worked for us and our real estate team over these years. And I've been doing it a while right now. So I've been doing it since 1992. So learned a whole bunch along the way. And as you mentioned, we in the real estate space, we don't get paid for our time ultimately on an hourly basis, like, many other industries where we charge an hourly rate or whatever it may be. So it's important that we maximize what we do every minute, every day, every hour, to get the most out of it. So I wrote down 12 points, and we can just hit them and just kind of go through it. And they're very basic. This is not going to be crazy like, the secret sauce. It's very basic. Very, in my opinion, simple but not easy. Okay. So first, number one is I wrote down, really it's doing the most productive thing possible for the first 30 minutes of every hour. Right? Doing the thing that's most productive the first 30 minutes of every hour. Just imagine if you worked in a 10-hour day, right? Or an 8-hour day, whatever it is for you. And you just took the very first 30 minutes of every hour from 10 a.m. to 10:30, from 12 to 12:30. I'm going to put together right now and be super hyper focused on the most productive thing that matters the most for me to do. In that half hour if it's full distraction free, sometimes you get more done in that half hour than you do in a typical day. But if you did on every hour, first 30 minutes, if you're working 8 hours, you'd have 4 productive hours in an actual day, right? 4 productive hours in any business, you're going to triple and duplicate, quadruple your income or your production, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just being consciously aware of those first 30 minutes will for sure double your production, double your efficiencies, I should say, whatever.
Exactly. And it sounds easy, but it's not, right? It sounds simple, very simple, but it's not easy sometimes.
Do you have an alarm go off every hour on the hour? I mean, is this something that's in your calendar, Jeff?
It's not. It's kind of more, it's become a habit more or less than what I like to do. And it's more or less, it's kind of more like 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off, taking a little bit of a break. But starting out, it's like, all right, for the next 30 minutes, I am going to be the most productive I can be. I'm going to do what's going to matter the most. It's going to get me the most out of it right now. Now, what we used to do is, before it became a habit, is used to set alarms. Before actually alarms, and the reality is, I go way back here, before really even cell phones, or whatever, we used to have egg timers. Remember the old egg timer? You turn it, right? We'd have those on our desk. We'd turn it for 30 minutes and then it would ring. And then that, okay, I'm starting it now and I know when it's going to end. And
so you're telling me you've been doing this since before we had cell phones? Is that what I'm hearing? When did you start?
Pretty much, at least in 1992, I had the old bag phone and the car phone installed, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Awesome.
So number two is this is, I think, so important as far as a time hack. And it's understanding that at the beginning of every year, and this is a great time to do it as we continue to look at our business plans for 2021. And we're working on this in our business planning event, which is going to be the end of this month, the 29th. But we have all of our team do this. Beginning of the year, at planning for the year, you determine how many days you're actually going to work, right? You determine how many days you're going to work. You're going to determine how many days you think you might actually be sick or not feel very well, just flake out. Just there's going to be those days, right? You just know it. But ultimately, what you do is you take an annual calendar at a glance and you line out your entire year, right? So what you're going to do is basically you have month by month in front of you. You take a marker that you can wipe it off with because it's very flexible. But you want to map out basically when you're going to work. So on the days you're going to work, you leave them empty. The days you take off, you put a no for off. So if you're typically going to work, a 5-day work week and take Saturday and Sunday off, you put O's on those days. You next then go ahead and you put in there basically a V for vacation. Start to think about, okay, the upcoming year, when do I normally take vacation or when would I like to if I haven't already planned it? And maybe that's, in the first quarter, maybe that's in April and you put a V there for the entire week. So now you line out your year. You've got the days you know you're going to take off. You got the days you know you're going to go on a vacation. Maybe it's in September. Maybe it's over Christmas. Whatever it may be, you'll put it in the schedule. Now, you may not have booked it, but at least it's there and you can see it. Next, you want to take a look and say an E, okay? And the E is for education, right? Going to conferences, attending, conferences like this, if it's not virtual, or you're going to go to a one-day event or a regional event, whatever it is that you're going to do, you got to set aside for E for education, right? In the Keller Williams world, we have mega camp every year, family reunion we attend. So I already know those dates in advance. We'll go online, get those dates, put them in there as an E. The day you're going to travel, the day you're going to come home, you got to block it out. Then you got to block out, like I said earlier, the days you just don't feel like it. Maybe you're going to subtract 5% of the year for that. Who knows? Now in front of you, you have an actual year at a glance that knows how many days you're going to actually work. What happens is when you know the days you're going to work, ultimately, when you're working those days and you have it in front of you, everything accelerates. Everything becomes a little more urgent because you're limited. We all think we have 365 days in a year. We don't. In most cases, if you're taking 2 days off a week, you're working 5 days a month, which equates to 20 days a month, which becomes 240 days a year. You don't have 365 days. You have 240 work days. Then you take your vacations. Then the days you don't feel like it, then ultimately you look up and say, shit, I only worked 210 days this year. I got a lot. I need to sell X number of homes. I got to get to work. So it compresses, it accelerates, I think, what you're looking for.
That is such great advice. If you don't schedule your time off, if you don't schedule your vacations, those will not happen. They will become work because somebody else will fill up your calendar. The question is, do you want to fill up your calendar? Or do you want someone else to fill up your calendar?
That's right.
I love that. And the urgency around it is I actually started working an hour longer every day and getting up earlier when I learned that I could add 2 months onto my year by just adding 1 hour to every day. So
that's right. You can add if you start an hour early and you finish an hour later, 2 additional hours a day. If you're working 5 days a week, it's 10 hours more a month. Times the amount of weeks you work, you actually add almost 3 months to your entire year. That is, I'll tell you, Brian, you want to talk about a secret sauce? That's been one of the things that's been my secret for production. Why does Jeff and his team do more than anyone else? Well, they start a little earlier, they work a little later, and instead of working a 12-month business plan where most people work 12 months, we're working 12 months, but we're getting what's done in 12 months as if we're working 15, right?
Exactly.
We really are. And it's a very simple thing. Getting in the office an hour earlier or staying an hour later or just 1 hour throughout the entire year, it will add so much more to your production, So I wrote down, number 3, this is just something I wrote down. It says, having a precise schedule ultimately can solve almost every production problem that we have, provided we follow it. Having a precise schedule can solve almost every production problem an agent has, right? Provided they follow it. So if you just start to say, okay, here's my ideal schedule. And by the way, as you mentioned before about other people or your schedule getting filled up. Well, what happens a lot of times is our schedule gets filled up with everyone else's issues or problems that you typically work on and never gets filled up with what's most important for us, or we intend to do things and then other issues come up that we have to solve. And then what's important and matters to us gets pushed back. Right.
So this is really taking number 2 to the next level. Number 2, we're scheduling out, this is work, this is vacation, this is learning. Now we're scheduling that work day. What does it look like? What does 8 to 9 look like? 9 to 11, etc. And if it's not in your calendar, again, talking about productivity, your productivity is going way down. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. If it's not in your calendar, it just doesn't exist.
Yes.
That's our motto. That's what we work by. That's what we live by. And some people say, "Oh man, you're so disciplined." Well, the reality is it is. I mean, and I've been fortunate enough now that I have an executive assistant that actually runs my calendar, because if I actually did it, I would be screwing it all up. And so I actually delegate this now to someone that if I have to plug in a meeting, an appointment, a podcast, whatever that is that I need to do, let me have Jessica reach out to you. She runs it for me, keeps me on track. Otherwise, it gets, you got to manage it. You got to manage it because it can be filled up with things that aren't productive, for sure. Okay, perfect. But it needs to be in the calendar. Number 4, I wrote down, and this is important, is that your daily schedule should be kept in a place where it's seen by everyone. The accountability by that is critical. So having a schedule that you've put together is so important, and you have to post it everywhere. In other words, if you're at your office and you, whether you work in a private office or you work in a cubicle or whatever it may be, and you actually go to the office, have your schedule out and say, here's my activities that I do during a certain time. If I'm going to lead generate between 9 and noon, well, I'm going to let the world know this is a time I don't get distraction. This is the distraction part of my day. Like, here's my schedule. I would talk to you if you're available between 1 and 2. This is when I'll be available. But between 9 and noon, I'm tied up. But give it to, whether it's your broker at the office or any agents in your office that are next to you. I give it to our clients. I give it to our sellers. If we're sitting here in front of a seller at a listing presentation, we show our schedule and say to Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what our activities are each and every day to get your home sold. And I give it to them. If you happen to call me at 11 o'clock in the morning, unfortunately, I'm unavailable. I will be prospecting out trying to find a buyer for your home. I'm doing certain activities at this time that's out there promoting your property to get you the best buyer. But I'll tell you, if you call me right now at 11, you can leave a message, certainly, or my assistant will help you. If you guys don't have an assistant, then you just have to train them and make it disciplined. Let them know I return calls every day at 12 to 12:30. Let me know the best number to reach you. I'll call you then. When you do that and you give this schedule to people, one is they held you accountable to what you say you're going to do. And then secondly, they tend to work around what it is for you, right? They work around it. They're okay. Okay, great. No problem. I appreciate that. So now I know I can call you at 12 noon if I need you. Otherwise, I know what your activities are, right? Whatever that may be. So it's giving it to people out there that, your wife, your kids, your husband, whoever that is, that, okay, in my world, these are the people that are going to distract me at the most important times. Give them your schedule. Guys, here's my schedule. This is what I do. This is when I do it. And by the way, you might want to tie into it the results of the schedule, what it provides and what it will provide to them, so they can maybe link it together.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Number 5, one thing to think about is with regards to time hacks, time management, keeping track of your time. If you haven't ever done this, guys, one thing we recommend is hour by hour, right? For let's say 2 weeks, identify what you're doing. Okay. And you can go online, you can download, every 15 minutes, basically starting at 7 in the morning till 7 o'clock the next day, and just start jotting down what you're actually doing. Like if I stood next to you in your office and watched what you did on 15-minute increments and jotted down what it was, I studied that, say for, hour by hour for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, if I looked at you guys and said, okay, let's analyze what you actually did. Let's identify your strengths, your weaknesses, your time management, what your system's like. What of that amount of time was actually income generating versus income servicing? You'll be amazed, right? And so, but taking that little moment in time to try to just be a time stamp or analysis of what you do, it's mind blowing to actually see that how much work you actually got done and what you didn't. Okay, very helpful. Number 6, what we find right now is when it comes to time management, if you don't have strong enough personal goals, it always creates a time management problem, right? There's nowhere to go. Nothing. There's not a lot of things to do. There's not a lot of urgency behind it. So not having strong personal goals or objectives always causes a time management issue. So, number 7 is to basically create a stronger focus for personal motivation and time management. 3 things I think that an agent can do and get very, very, very focused on this. Number 1 is lay out places I want to go. Okay. Places I want to go. Things I want to do. And then things I want to have. So out of that list, 3 things, places I want to go, list 5 things in that, right? So have places I want to go, A, B, C, D, E. Things I want to do, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever 5 things are. Things I want to have, places I want to go. Well, you know what? I've always wanted to go to Dubai. I've always wanted to go to, wherever that is for somebody, right? I've always wanted to go to Germany. I always wanted to go to Sweden. I've always wanted to go to, Bora Bora, whatever it is. Things I want to do. Well, you know what? One of the things I always want to do is when I go to Dubai, I'm going to go to that one hotel that looks like a sailboat, and at the top has that round disc thing up there. I want to go play tennis on it, right? I have that on my dream board. At one time, they had a tennis court up there, right? Things I'd like to have. Well, what do I like to have? Start writing those things down. This will actually create a stronger focus around what's important, my personal goals, my objectives, and all of a sudden, my motivation to do things and my management of my time speeds up because I have things I want to accomplish.
So that sounds like an exercise that's definitely going to build your vision, an exercise that every leader should go through and then have all of their team or employees or, their business go through, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And if you're an individual agent, do it for yourself and do it with your family. Do it with your kids if you have kids or your significant other. Like sit down and say, I just want to do 3 things here. It's very simple. Place I want to go, things I want to have, things I want to do. Right? It's a great thing, especially this time of year, looking and focusing on 2021. Revisit that. And you'll find that also if you start to do that, and maybe if you put a date next to each one and post it around your workstation, now all of a sudden your management of time says, well, okay, I said that I want to go to Dubai and I've got a deadline on it. It's 2021 or 2022. All right, well, let me focus on this because I gotta make some money, right? I gotta get motivated. But having a time on it really works. Okay. I guess the next point I just wrote down really about time management is understanding to master your morning routine. Master your morning routine. And, we ultimately call this as money time. Okay. This is the time that you wake up until 12 noon. From the time you wake up until 12 noon, understanding that there's nothing more important in your personal or business life that can't wait until after 12 noon. And so if you could just concentrate from the time you wake up till 12 noon every day to get your lead generation in, get the things that are actually going to make you productive, get that out of the way, it's so important, right? That is your money time. So understand that, what do I do in the morning? Well, obviously waking up at a certain time that's consistent. Waking up, maybe saying some affirmations, reading a book or 2, or listening to a podcast that will motivate you, inspire your thought, get you motivated. Eat something healthy, get your body in motion with some type of exercise. This will get you going mentally and physically. Get yourself ready for the day. Get to the office at a certain time that's consistent, right? You want to basically get in momentum. It's almost like this, Brian. When you wake up in the morning, if you could picture a rubber band, and every time you do one of these things we talk about, the rubber band, you pull it back a little bit. So waking up at say 5 o'clock or 5:30, you pull it back. Listening to a good book or a podcast or reading good books, a couple pages, you pull it back. Eating a healthy breakfast, pull it back. Get some exercise in, pull it back. Maybe at that point you want to role play or start work on some of your skills, pull it back. Well, the moment after you've done all these things and now you're ready to hit the office and hit the ground running, what happens when you release that rubber band? It's your momentum's all there. And then boom, you're off and running right into the office, right? So it's mastering that morning called money time.
Hey, just Jeff, quick question on that. I've had a few people tell me, and I started doing this. I used to think the routine started maybe, you get up, maybe shower, go to the gym, whatever it is. But I've had several people tell me, and I've started doing it. Seems to make a difference. Actually, putting a bottle of water next to my bed before I even get out of bed. Morning routine starts with drinking that water.
That's right.
Is that how soon the routine should start, or when should that start?
Well, to master your morning and reality, it should start the night before, just like your day should. So all of that preparation is all the night before, as you mentioned. Having an 8 ounce or a glass of water or a bottle of water on your nightstand ready to go. If you look in my bedroom, I mean, I probably have 1 or 2 sitting on my nightstand. She's probably got 4 or 5. I mean, half of them are drink, half of them, she's weird, but she's got there's always water in there, right? And that's one of the things I do. And I put lemon in mine, right? So,
I love that you say it starts the night before, because really it's about knowing your schedule the night before so that your subconscious mind can be planning out your day and planning out maybe certain meetings that are big deals and you want a certain outcome. That can be happening in your subconscious mind as you go to bed if you're envisioning a successful meeting, right?
100%. I mean, it goes as far as not only having a bottle of water next to your nightstand, but if you have gym shoes, having your gym shoes and socks at the foot of your bed. So basically, when your feet come out of bed, your feet almost land on your gym shoes as a reminder, right? Like, okay, I have to put them on now. You start to put your gym shoes on and socks on, right? That is going to motivate. That is going to get you in one step. That's going to get you closer to getting to where you're supposed to get to versus, waking up out of bed, and then having to go to the closet, and all of that. If you could just have everything right there, put your gym outfit on, rock and roll, right away. It's all of that.
So while we're talking about the day, I thought this might make sense to discuss, Jeff. What do you do when time's not enough for the responsibilities of each day? I think sometimes we have this list of 1,000 things we need to accomplish. Those aren't always maybe what we should accomplish.
Well, I think it all comes back to being clear on what those responsibilities are, and then breaking those responsibilities down, and then compartmentalizing them for the time block of that, right? So we talk about, okay, well, what is the most important? What does the day look like, right? Maybe we can just cover that, understanding what a typical good routine of a day or productive day looks like, and then everyone's has a different deal. Everyone has different children that at different ages that need to be either at school or homeschooled or whatever it may be. But there's one thing that we do know for the ages that are most productive. And it's those agents right now that master their morning and getting, what is most important done in the morning, right? So here's the thing to think about, right? So to master the morning from the time you get up until 12 noon, that's going to be most important. So let's say that whatever your morning routine is, you get up at 6 a.m. 6 a.m., as I mentioned to you, maybe you're going to go ahead and read a good book, drink a glass of water. You're going to go ahead and get to the gym. You're going to do some form of exercise. Maybe it's a walk, ride a bike. You're going to go ahead and eat something good. You're going to then at that point, basically, you're feeling really well. If you can get to the office, let's just call it at 8:30. One of the things you might want to consider doing is get your role play and practice your scripts. Get a role play partner. 8:30 to 9, you're going to go ahead and practice whatever that is for the day. Maybe it's you're calling your database, your center of influence. Maybe it's you're calling expired listings because it's the 31st or the 1st of the month. Whatever it may be, role play the scenarios out, objection handlers, warm up, right? Get it warmed up, get your voice going. And then say 9 o'clock, then you're going to jump on the phone, right? This is your lead generation. You're going to go ahead then lead generate and prospect between say 9 and noon. The goal would be make 30 contacts, 30 outbound contacts where you're actually talking to decision makers and create that going. And then basically at 12 noon, at this point, now what happens after 12 noon can be a little more flexible. But at least at the point I've gotten everything I need to get done. It's most important in the morning. So my responsibility number one for the day is create my morning schedule and make sure that happens. Because here's what I know. If I master my morning and create and do everything I'm supposed to do, everything else in my world is going to be perfect. I just know. I can almost prospect my way out of any problem as long as I'm able to lead generate, because I know that I'm going to create my income and that's going to help me create my life and fund my life the way it is. So let's say that 12 noon. Now, what do I do? Well, you're probably hungry, right? You want to maybe eat lunch, relax just a bit. You're going to have some messages or return some calls. So let's say you eat lunch from 12 to 12:30. 12:30 to say 1 o'clock, you return your calls, you do a little admin work, whatever it may be. From the leads that you've created already from the previous days, now you're going to have to do some lead follow-up, right? It's very important. So maybe this is now between 1:30 and 2:30, lead follow-up. 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock. Now you have to do maybe some admin work, okay? So whatever that may be, right? Now from 3 o'clock to say 7 o'clock, this is where you go on appointments. This is the appointment time of your day. If you don't have any appointments, then go back to prospecting. Maybe it's then you want to go preview some property, right? But basically your entire day needs to be broken down and segmented. So your morning routine is lead generation, your afternoon routine is lead follow-up, and then your later in the day is appointments. Lead follow-up to admin in the middle, and then later in the day, you want to schedule your appointments, okay? Now.
And you're not in production, Jeff. I mean, these are really, if somebody's not in production anymore, these are really things they want to lead their team to do. And you still have your big nuts. You have exactly what you need to get done that day. And if you have 80 items, maybe to answer that question, maybe choose your top 3, because you can have a successful day by getting your top 3 accomplished. And if you start it with a morning routine, that's going to give you what you need to successfully get those top 3 accomplished.
Correct. Whatever that is to move that needle for you, those top priorities, you got to get them done first. And then, people say, well, why do I need to do it first? Why can't I do it later in the afternoon? There's simple, in my opinion and experience. The one reason why you want to do what's most important first is because of energy. And we know that in the afternoon, your energy is less and things show up. Things in life show up that will distract you. Kids are home from school, whatever it may be. The problems happen typically in the afternoon. What's cool is if there's a problem that happens in the morning and you're not attending to it, if you actually attend to it in the afternoon, sometimes that morning issue's already been resolved by someone, somewhere else, something.
Let's keep going. I want to make sure we're short on time. We have 3 minutes left. I want to make sure we get all these hacks out there. And then can you post in the channel just your list of 12 afterwards, because people are asking for the list as well?
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty much of the 12. We kind of jumped through a little bit. Understand, I guess, the last one out of this is that, working a 5-day work week is normal, okay? It's normal. Now, do we work a lot? Yes. But working 7 days a week doesn't always have to be, I would say, more abnormal. It's not normal for real estate. Like, make sure that you can take that time off. You can have that balance, but schedule your time within those 5 days of a 5-day work week, or even a 4-day work week if you can. You'll notice that when you actually, basically the work gets done in the time allotted, right? And it's like every time that before you go away on vacation, how much do you get done the day before? Your entire world's accelerated. It seems like basically before I go on vacation, I have more buyers and sellers that want to meet with me that day, or more leads that happen. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, the world is aligning with me and I don't have enough time, right? But act every day as if you're going on vacation tomorrow. And that will actually speed up and have that mindset. You'll see that you'll be able to double and triple your production if you really keep that focus or that intent.
I don't know if this is true, Jeff. Thank you so much. I don't know if this is true for everybody or just it was for me when I was in real estate, but I remember I was always pushing it right before I'd go on vacation because I couldn't afford to be gone, which made it so that I was always putting 2 or 3 people under contract while I was on vacation.
Yeah, always.
So it eats into your vacation, but it also adds to the productivity. So Jeff, those are amazing items. Thank you for sharing those. If you would please post those into the Facebook group so that everybody has access to those 12, that would be amazing. All right. Thanks. Great seeing you again. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you. It's an honor. Appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.